I believe in Imavov. I believe in Imavov. Nassourdine Imavov knocked out Israel Adesanya at UFC Saudi Arabia. Insane result. I predicted Nassourdine Imavov to get it done. I actually said the right hand is going to be there for him. I'm going to play you guys the clip. And Shamil the Blob Gaziev is in the win column, in the knockout column. Shamil gets it done. I picked MVP to win as well. Dude, I did pretty well on this card, man. I did pretty dang well on this card. I even picked Sergei Pavlovich. MVP, lighter man skill. We're going to get into this, man. Adesanya started doing pretty well in this fight. All right? Adesanya was, in my opinion, the winner of the first round. His kicks looked incredibly fast. He looked even leaner and more dense than, versions of Adesanya that we've seen in the past. He was jabbing up Nassourdine Imavov. Imavov really struggled to take Adesanya down and keep him down in the first round, but he was shooting takedowns. But here's the thing that I noticed. It seemed to me that Adesanya expended a lot of energy in the first round, whereas Nassourdine was very patient. Even though he was shooting takedowns, his output on the feet incredibly low. And ultimately, this is why I picked him, because if he mixes in the takedowns and he gets Adesanya thinking about the wrestling, he is good enough on the feet and, in my opinion, has the better boxing in the pocket and has a really choppy right hand to be able to make things happen because of the threat of the takedown. And that's ultimately what happened in the second round. Nassourdine Imavov blinds Adesanya with a jab and comes over the top with a gnarly right hand. I was saying in my video, on number 2, Nassourdine Imavov, excellent 1-2s, really good right hands. What was the thing that hurt Adesanya when he fought Dricus? A lot of them were the big, bumbling, tumbling right hands, but more specifically, what was the thing that Sean Strickland used to counter Adesanya back in the day? In the first round where Strickland dropped Adesanya, it was the right hand, straight right. Nassourdine Imavov's got a chopping straight right with some extra thud on it. Nassourdine Imavov, he has a granite chin. He's going to trust in himself in the boxing. And look at what has hurt Adesanya in the past. Namely, the Sean Strickland fight. What dropped him? It was the right hand. Look at what was hurting him in the Dricus du Plessis fight. A lot of right hands. Nassourdine Imavov catches him with a right hand, drops Adesanya, puts him on the ground, has a perfect follow-up shot right on the button, and TKO's Adesanya. I thought it was a pretty decent stoppage, and that is it. That's all she wrote. Adesanya, unfortunately for his fans, this has got to be like the Alex Pereira KO for Pereira fans. When Adesanya KO'd Pereira, that was like one of the worst experiences I've ever had as an MMA fan. Even worse than it was seeing Charles Oliveira get submitted, although that was pretty horrible. But Adesanya, even though he's been dropped, he got KO'd many years ago against Alex Pereira. He got TKO'd up against the fence against Alex Pereira in their first fight in the UFC. This was a real bad KO, and that is 3 losses in a row for Israel Adesanya, losing to Strickland, then du Plessis, and now Nassourdine Imavov. And why did he lose? I really do think that maybe the long career of having some wars, having some battles, maybe that has affected his chin a little bit, but at the same time, that was just a perfectly placed right hand. And I picked Nassourdine to get it done. I thought I had a really good pick. People were saying that I was just being a contrarian, or you're picking against Izzy just because you don't like him, or you're hating on Adesanya. Not at all. Not at all. Nassourdine Imavov, the reason why a lot of people slept on him, even though people were picking him, the main reason why people slept on him is because he doesn't really seem to be a standout in any one area. He's just really well-rounded. And I think people were sleeping on every single part of his game. I think they were sleeping on his boxing. I think they were sleeping on his durability. I think that they were sleeping on everything. And he's also just like the least popular contender in that division. He absolutely needed this win because now his stock is going through the roof. We didn't get an interview from Adesanya. I actually wanted to see an interview from him. I know that they don't really like interviewing people that just got knocked out, but they kind of do it more often than not. Like they interview Volkanovski twice after he got KO'd. They interview everybody after they get KO'd. Not Alex Pereira after his KO loss to Adesanya, but listen, I don't know what's next for him. I haven't heard a post-fight interview. But, man, I mean, he really wanted this fight. But that's a really tough loss. That's like a career-altering loss. And he's already on a downwards trajectory. So I don't know if he's going to retire. I mean, this is the thing. With a guy like Nassourdine Imavov, I mean, Adesanya is not going to be fighting some unranked guy. Like, the only people that are there for him to fight, unless we're just going to have a fun fight with another vet, and maybe I'll think about who that could be. I mean, it's just going to be matchups where he's facing these up-and-coming contenders that are hungry and well-rounded, and the middleweight division is just so much better than it was years ago. The contenders aren't like Vettori, if you get what I'm saying. The old guard is really coming to an end, right? Whitaker getting submitted, Jared Cannonier getting beat. I mean, that was a little bit of a weird loss that Cannonier had to Imavov, but then he got beat by Cal Barajo, and I'm sure he'll lose his next fight in a couple of weeks. Now Adesanya is on a 3-fight loss streak. If he had won this fight, this would have been absolutely massive for his legacy, okay? Because I believe, and I said this in my ultimate prediction, I said beating Nassourdine would be a better win than beating a guy like Marvin Vettori, for example. But he loses. And I know that there's going to be some people that are saying, oh, he's just washed up. Adesanya's just washed. It's, you know, he's not the same. I don't buy it. I'm sorry. 35 years old in the middleweight division. Fair enough. As a contender, Adesanya doesn't have the same hunger as Nassourdine Imavov, but at the end of the day, he's still pretty good. He's not an old head. There have been so many champions that are in their late 30s in the middleweight, light heavyweight, and heavyweight division. I said he was going to lose because it would have been a bad stylistic matchup. So I don't want to hear anyone saying, oh, he's just washed. He's a different fighter. He looked good in this fight. That was a mistake that I see Adesanya make sometimes, where he's open to getting clocked with right hands, okay? But, man, this really shocked me. I wasn't really expecting that. I mean, I picked Nassourdine to win by a decision. I thought that he's going to be competitive on the feet when he starts mixing in the takedowns. And obviously that happened. But, I mean, picking him to win by a second round KO on the feet like that, of course, I didn't pick that to a T, but I thought I made a pretty good pick, especially because of what I said in my last video. I said exactly that the right hand for Nassourdine is going to be an issue for Adesanya. So, you know, I thought I'd break down this fight pretty well, brother. Okay? I thought I'd break down this fight pretty well, brother. And Nassourdine gets it done. That is unbelievable. Wow. Amazing KO from Nassourdine Imavov. Perfect approach to the fight. Super patient early on. Adesanya, look, this dude looked completely drenched with sweat and breathing sort of heavy going into the second round. He really reminded me of how he looked in the Sean Strickland second round. Like, he expended a lot of energy, whereas Imavov, calm, low output in the first, shot a couple of takedowns, but didn't do a whole lot else. Landed a really nasty uppercut in the first round on Adesanya, which was nice, but then that right hand, man. The chopping right hand of Nassourdine. These middleweights are getting well-rounded. And I think that, again, people slept on him because, again, not popular at all. Doesn't have a big name. So you don't have fanboys for Nassourdine that are overhyping him. And, again, does nothing exceptionally well. But because of how well-rounded he is, he's a problem for a one-dimensional striker like Adesanya, who, again, is just, for the most part, going to strike. Adesanya had some moments in the first round where Nassourdine went for a takedown. Adesanya got back up and sort of went for a takedown of his own. That was kind of interesting. I know he had been talking about potentially getting a submission. But Nassourdine, man, Nassourdine gets it done. Should he fight the winner of Duplessis and Sean Strickland? No, he should not. Okay? He should fight the winner of Chimaev versus the winner of Drew Plessis and Sean Strickland. That's what I want to see. Chimaev gets the next title shot. Nassourdine Imavov waiting in the wings. I don't think we need to see him fight another fighter. I mean, listen, he's gone on a crazy win streak, Nassourdine. He's beat Brendan Allen, Jared Cannonier, Adesanya. I mean, those are incredible wins. He deserves a title shot, but we need to see Hamzat fight for the belt next. And whoever wins the belt when Hamzat fights for it, that's who Nassourdine will fight. Who could Adesanya fight, though? Because I'm just thinking of, like, old heads. Obviously, he's not going to fight Whitaker. They've been doing a little bit of training together. Maybe if Alex Pereira loses to Magomed Ankalaev, but here's the thing, they'll probably do a rematch between Magomed and Alex since Alex has defended his belt multiple times. So that would kind of take a while. I mean, who else is there really for a guy like Adesanya? Like moving up to 205, there's not a whole lot of fights. Him versus Yuri, I don't know if Izzy wants to fight like that. Yuri's got a really good right hand as well. I don't know. If there's a whole lot of fights for a guy like Adesanya. This seemed to be the fight where he's going in there against someone that's good everywhere but not excellent anywhere. Anyone else that you're going to give Adesanya is going to be like a grappling specialist at middleweight. What are you going to do? Him versus Cannonier too? If Cannonier loses his next fight, so I won't be surprised if he retires because there doesn't seem to be a lot of fun fights. Him versus Shara Magomedov could be interesting. Shara Magomedov just got shown lighter man's skill, and fighting a middleweight would be a decent fight for him. Maybe that could be the fight, but not great for Adesanya's legacy. All right, and his boxing has always been a bit of an issue. So amazing win for Nassourdine Imavov. I am happy that I picked him to win because, again, sure, Adesanya could have knocked him out early, and I said that was probably his chance, but a guy as good as Nassourdine on the ground and on the feet, it's going to be problems for anyone in that division, okay? So let's get on to the next one. I didn't even mention lighter man's skill at all in my prediction for Michael Page. So, I mean, I should have just said that. I picked MVP to beat Shara Magomedov exactly the way he did. He is just so good at shutting people's offense down and barely getting hit. And Shara landed a few leg kicks early, and I was getting worried oh shit, this might be the one guy to be able to consistently kick Michael Page. But a few minutes into it, Michael Page was evading every leg kick and just had the classic MVP performance where he doesn't get hit at all, and he's just too fast for his opponents. And I can't believe I forgot to mention this, but doesn't this yet again prove lighter man skill? MVP shuts down welterweights like Ian Gary. Okay, Kevin Holland. Of course he's going to beat this up-and-coming middleweight with a short T-Rex arms reach. Of course he's going to beat him. Lighter man skill always fucking works. He beats every single striker, in my opinion, at middleweight. All the one-dimensional strikers at middleweight. Maybe somebody that can mix in the grappling could be an issue for him. But again, I need to make a video on lighter man skill. I know people sort of started to meme that, but it is really true. I mean, Shara Magomedov, he's a really good high output striker and did absolutely nothing until the third round where it looked like he started to say fuck it, started to get frustrated. And that's kind of what I predicted would happen. He would get frustrated in the middle of the fight, towards the end of the fight, and he could have some success from moving forward, but he'd be in more danger. But again, MVP just too fast for him, is used to fighting much faster opponents. Lighter man skill, this is just a perfect example of it. It basically is, in my opinion, the most surefire way of getting a pick right. And it doesn't always apply for some fighter that just used to fight in a lighter weight class. For example, Renato Moicano fighting Islam Makhachev. That's not lighter man skill, because I could already see someone commenting, oh, well, Renato Moicano got choked. Yeah, but Renato Moicano's been fighting at lightweight for the past 5-6 years. So it's just not the same. Lighter man skill applies for people when they first move up a weight class. Okay, and it lasts for a couple fights. But once you're in the new weight class and you're just there for a long time, you sort of morph into the weight class that you're in now. But Michael Venom Page moving up to middleweight clearly is going to be faster than his opponent. And just the stylistic matchup was bad for Shara Magomedov. So, yeah, MVP gets it done. This guy's, 40 years old, 39 years old? I don't know his exact age, but it's around that. That is really impressive that he's sort of shutting these really high-level strikers down, because say what you want about Ian Gary, he is a pretty high-level striker. And Magomedov, high-level striker. Kevin Holland, not the highest level, but a good striker. And MVP has made the last 3 fighters he's fought UFC caliber, decent strikers look slow and look sort of useless on the feet. So I think he should stay at middleweight. He's getting on the mic and he's saying, oh, well, I've still got more business at welterweight. But my question is why? Do you really want to fight Sean Brady and get taken down and submitted in one? I just don't understand. Listen, I get it. But I actually don't get it, because there's this idea that, I'm going to go back down to my real weight class and I'll have a better chance of fighting for the belt. But not really, because he lost to Ian Gary. So that kind of set him back a little bit, because if he were to beat Ian Gary, that would be his chance to crack into the top 5. But he lost that. So if anything, he's going to have to win the same amount of fights to get to a title with harder matchups, actually, at welterweight than he would at middleweight. At middleweight, you just beat Shara Magomedov. You probably have a better chance to beat the well-rounded guys at middleweight because they're just slower. Why move down? It doesn't make any sense at all. I say the same thing to Kamaru Usman. Why stay at welterweight? You're going to have a lot of success fighting the Vittoris or fighting the fucking, what's his name, Rodriguez, or, a lot of these middleweights. Stay at middleweight. That's what I am saying to MVP. The welterweights that are close to the belt, Joaquin Buckley, if he doesn't get the Kamaru Usman fight, maybe they'll make MVP versus Joaquin Buckley, but Buckley's just going to take him down and TKO him and destroy him on the ground. Same thing with a guy like, what's his name? As I said, Sean Brady. If Bilal Muhammad loses, Bilal's going to be able to take him down. If Shavkat Rakhmonov loses to Bilal, he'll fight MVP and he'll just submit him. So, I don't know. I just think that he needs to stay in this weight class. He'll have much more winnable fights. The weight cut won't be there, and so I think his longevity will be better at middleweight. So I really think that he should basically stay in this weight class. I've made myself very clear with that. But that was a pretty expected fight. So main event, right pick. Co-main event, right pick. Okay? And feature fight, I got the right pick. Sergei Pavlovich. But you know what? I'm actually a little bit surprised. I expected this to be a first-round KO from Sergei Pavlovich. And to be fair, I said if Sergei doesn't win in the first round, Jairzinho's chances are going to go through the roof. But it was Sergei Pavlovich that was actually landing the big shots in the third round. He was stumbling around Jairzinho. And he landed a couple of takedowns too. He would hit Jairzinho Rozenstruik with a good shot, and then he would take him down. So we saw a path of least resistance for Sergei Pavlovich, getting the takedowns and just winning the fight by minorly outstriking Jairzinho. A little bit underwhelmed, though, just because I expected this to be a more of a barn burner, and it wasn't. And that obviously has something to do with the fact that these guys have trained together a lot. Former training partners. Maybe I should have seen a possibility of this sort of fight playing out just because of that. Because, Sanko actually said it pretty well. They were, paralysis by analysis, just overly analyzing each other's style, knowing their opponent really well, just because, again, they've sparred with each other probably like dozens of times. Yeah, a bit of a snooze fest, but Sergei Pavlovich gets it done. It seemed like he clearly had the power advantage. Jairzinho had a couple of moments, but Sergei Pavlovich would disrupt his rhythm by taking him down. So, good win for Sergei Pavlovich. We saw some fruity pebble punches from him as well. This is actually what really impressed me. Said Nurmagomedov, Vinicius Oliveira. This was actually a really good fight. Sloppy. They both gassed out after the first round. I have to say this, though. First round Said Nurmagomedov is unreal, dude. This guy is so fucking fast. I don't think it's possible for him to lose a first round to anyone on the feet. Okay, I was thinking, man, this is Umar 2.0 right now. And I've seen Said Nurmagomedov fight. That's why I picked him. Landing the spinning kicks and the lead head kicks. I mean, he was lighting up Vinicius, clearly won the first. And I actually picked Said Nurmagomedov in part because Vinicius Oliveira had gotten out-grappled a little bit in his first UFC fight against Pogues. I said Said's going to be a little bit better than him on the feet. He'll be faster than him on the feet, and he'll have the grappling to be able to get through this. The grappling is actually where Vinicius started to take over. Sort of manhandled Said Nurmagomedov and brought him to the ground in the second round. And in the third round, it was really just a war of attrition. Both guys gassed out, but Said Nurmagomedov way more gassed out, and Vinicius Oliveira just sort of picked him apart. You could see there were some wild exchanges where it was clear that Vinicius was the more accurate fighter that had his feet and his base more underneath him. So I'm pretty impressed because this is a tough matchup for Vinicius, but really good approach, very good approach. Sort of let Said Nurmagomedov tire himself out in the first. And it's always going to be a tough first round with him, but he, weathered the storm, got it done, mixing in the takedowns. Very impressive to out-grapple Nurmagomedov. I know Nurmagomedov, he's not got the same wrestling, grappling base as a lot of the Dagestanis, but he's still a decent bantamweight grappler. He has a great submission game, and for Vinicius to out-grapple him, I was very impressed. Okay? This was a war. Faraz Ziam versus Mike Davis. I got this one right. Oh, I was about to say I got it wrong. I picked Faraz Ziam to get it done. Mike Davis sort of got pieced up on the feet, had his moments on the ground in the second round, and then Ziam just sort of took over, beat the shit out of Mike Davis. There was one position where he got put in the, I think it was the Suliev stretch, the same thing that, what's his name? Roman Dolidze did to Jack Hermanson, where he kind of trapped Ziam's leg and was stretching it and got into a really dominant position. Ziam, Twigman Ziam, by the way. I mean, guys, remember, I used to say Ziam is Twigman Ziam because, you know, he was just not confident in his approach, couldn't really impose his will, and sort of just Twigmaned his way through fights. So, you know, his past couple fights, big KO over Frivola, picking up Mike Davis and throwing him on the ground in the second round. Like, that's just really, really impressive. So, listen, Twigman Ziam is no longer Twigman Ziam. Okay, Ziam, crazy win streak going right now. And he gets it done. Out-grappling Mike Davis, outpointing him on the feet in a really good war. Both guys cut in this fight. There was tons of blood, but a good, gutsy performance for Ziam. Alexander Volkanovski at home, Ofli tried to smudge his way to victory. Dude, I'm just so happy that Muhammad Naimov won this fight. I picked him to win. I'm not happy just because of like, oh, I'm a big fan of Muhammad Naimov, but dude, Ofli, I'm sorry. Seeing this guy, and fair enough, he actually went for it at the end of the third round. So he did show some urgency in the third when he was down 2 rounds, because I was thinking, dude, this guy's just been literally hugging Naimov up against the fence and doing absolutely nothing with it. Like just getting overhooks and doing zero with it. It looked like he was trying to sweep Naimov and get him on the ground with a nice trip, a nice sweep. But when he couldn't get it early on, he literally just started smudging him up against the fence and doing zero. And obviously the referee had to separate it. So I was kind of happy to see Naimov like just win this fight, because I thought it was a very frustrating way to try to win. I don't really know what he was going for. It really didn't look like he was imposing his will once he got to the clinch. It just looked like he was just keen to stay there. But again, even though Naimov won, Ofli did kind of go for it in the third. He would clinch, and then he would throw a barrage of punches. So he must have been trying to sort of juke Naimov out by making him think that he was just going to clinch, when then he would separate and throw barrage. But he still lost. So Ofli loses his UFC debut. Shamil the Blob Gaziev KOs Thomas Petersen in round 1, dude. Thomas Petersen, apparently he had been watching a whole lot of Usyk versus Tyson Fury to prepare for this, and he was trying to go in there with a lighter man skill mentality, but man, Shamil just got him down with that right hand. Big, gnarly, meaty right hand from Shamil Gaziev. Walk-off KO. And Shamil said that he wants to finish people in the first round. He's never going to decision again. And Shamil gets it done, man. I was literally drinking coffee from my Shamil Blabgaziev cup, and he gets it done. So, I mean, what more could you ask for? Shamil Gaziev KO, perfect main event prediction. Not perfect main event prediction. Picked MVP, didn't even bring in lighter man skill into the equation, which I should have. So, yeah, I mean, honestly, like, things couldn't have gone better for this fight. So, yeah, Shamil really looked to be going in there with a very patient approach. Thomas Petersen, I was a little bit worried. It looked like he had the speed advantage, but Shamil, again, it's like there's a difference in the pure size and density. Thomas Petersen is a heavyweight that should be fighting in the middleweight division. And Shamil Gaziev, even though he's not lean for heavyweight, he's not like Gon or Aspinall or some of these Volkov. Like, all the best heavyweights are lean, and they're fighting in the real weight class. Even though Shamil's not lean, he couldn't make 205. You know what I mean? He's just not capable of doing that. So he's fighting in the real weight class. You would think lighter man skill, but when someone fights in a weight class that's too big for them and they stay there for a while, they kind of just get absorbed into that skill class. So Shamil Gaziev, big gnarly right, putting down Thomas Petersen. Feel good win. Terrance Mckinney, shout out to Shamil, honestly. And also, you know what? It was actually really cool when Shamil Gaziev walked out, and there was a smirk to Shamil. There was a bit of a smirk. He knows that the fans love him, okay? Shamil Gaziev knows that the fan base loves him, and he's turning into a hardcore fan legend. And you could see when he's walking out, he's giving people high fives. The fans, they know what's up. They know what's up. Listen, most UFC fighters that are at this level, they're not getting like, the genuine smiles from fans. Shamil is, and he knows it. So Shamil's actually becoming like popular. I was watching the Weasels prediction video, and he's even calling him the GOAT too. So at this point, like everybody that even talks about Shamil Gaziev recognizes him as a UFC legend, and he's just getting started. Also, I believe that's 1, 2, that's 3. He's 3-1. He's only lost to Rozenstruik. So, he's coming back, man. Terrance Mckinney, it was a finish on the ground for Terrance Mckinney. Yeah, Damir Hadzovic, I picked him to win this. I said, man, I just can't really trust in McKinney's chin, but McKinney, obviously the better grappler, looked faster, looked to be better on the feet a little bit, but you never know on the feet. He did the right thing in going for the takedown and just beat the crap out of Damir Hadzovic with nasty ground and pound elbows, 12-6 elbows, and he gets it done very easily. So Terrance Mckinney, big win for him. He's back in the win column. Jasmine Jasudavicius, I picked her to win over Maria Buenasilva. Bogdan Grad. Let's get to that. Dude, Bogdan Grad is actually a beast. Bogdan Grad is an absolute beast in the featherweight division, beating Lucas Alexander. This was competitive early, but Bogdan Grad went after him, TKO'd him on the ground, mixed it up. And then Hamdy, Abdelwahab, and Jamal Pogues, robbery. I'm just going to say it. Jamal Pogues won the last 2 rounds. The third round couldn't be more clear. Somebody scored this 30-27, I believe, for Hamdy. I picked Jamal Pogues because of the boxing, because he's actually kind of fast and he has a decent wrestling background. That's the thing. A lot of people probably just picked Hamdy because of his wrestling, but obviously it's higher pedigree. But Jamal Pogues has decent wrestling, fast hands for heavyweight. No pop. None of these guys have pop. Hamdy had some pop, but Jamal Pogues not a lot of pop. He's sort of like a, well, DC was fast actually, so I can't say that. I was going to say he was like a Speedy Gonzalez version of Daniel Cormier with no pop, but DC was actually fast for heavyweight. Lighter man skill when he moved up to fight Stipe, but he fought heavyweight back in the day. But either way, Jamal Pogues won this fight, and we've seen it before. We've seen some horrible decisions in the Middle East, Saudi Arabia, specifically Saudi Arabia. We've seen some bad. Actually, no, I believe it was Abu Dhabi the last time there was a brutal robbery. It was a guy making his UFC debut. Oh, yeah, dude. He was fighting, what's his name? Renat Fakhretdinov. That was another robbery. Renat Fakhretdinov got his hand raised against this guy taking a short notice fight from Brazil. And Hamdy Abdelwahab, dude, I'm sorry, but this was a nasty robbery. Like, Jamal Pogues clearly won this fight. Second round was clear. Third round, that was 1,000% a Jamal Pogues round. So I'm going to take this as a win. Like, that was a win for Jamal Pogues. That's how I see it. He got it done by decision. I don't know how the judges scored this to Hamdy. Second round was kind of close, but I gave it to Jamal Pogues. So as far as how my predictions were, I got that one right, got that one wrong, got that one right. 2-2, 3-2, 4-2, 5-2, 5-3, 6-3, 7-3, 8-3. 8-3 on picks. Not bad. Not bad. So, yeah. Crazy to see Adesanya get KO'd, though. I mean, like, seeing him get dropped, we've only really seen that in the UFC against Sean Strickland, and he was able to recover. But the thing is, again, that follow-up shot from Nassourdine, like, it was almost as if that was like a thing of luck. But I don't think it really was. He probably saw that. But, man, I think it was really the follow-up shot, right? Of course, the right hand hurt Adesanya a lot, but the follow-up shot was perfectly placed. It happened in an instant. So Adesanya already, like, knocked down. He's probably not in it in that second. If that follow-up shot grazes him rather than hitting him on the button, maybe he could recover better, but it was over after that. Like, his body went limp for a second. Crazy. Losing 3 in a row, getting KO'd. He's been in a lot of wars at this time. That's not going to be good for his brain. But I'm just saying it how it is. I feel like this would be a sad way to retire. And I don't know what the alternative to retiring is. As I said, I've tried to think about different matchups for Adesanya. But if it's at middleweight, it's going to be against a bunch of young up-and-coming killers, because which crafty vets are there left for him to fight that are not Jared Cannonier, who's literally got another fight booked? It's not going to be Robert Whittaker. What are you going to do? Anthony Hernandez versus Adesanya? Like, dude, that's a fucking nightmare matchup. And then at 205, if he wants to move up, What strikers are there? Maybe him versus Reyes could be interesting. But Reyes has a fight with Olberg, I believe. I don't know. Jan Blachowicz too, that's probably not going to happen. I don't know what you do next. But for Nassourdine, he's earned his shot. So I saw this, man. I saw him winning this fight. And some people are going to say, no, you didn't see it. You didn't see it, man. You didn't pick the KO. You picked him by decision. Yeah, but I said the right hand is going to be there and it's going to be an issue for Adesanya. I said mixing it up is going to make his striking much more effective. And people will think, oh, that's obvious. Anytime there's a grappling threat. Yeah, but that's the point. That's why I picked him. Anytime there's a grappling threat, like that opens up moments on the feet. And Nassourdine, same height as Adesanya pretty much. Not the same reach, but similar stature. Those fighters can give Adesanya fits. So, Michael Page, I got to make a lighter man skill video because it was proven yet again. That's not just the style. It was the style and the speed. Yeah, what a card. Yeah, again, for Adesanya fans, this is like the worst moment ever. So they're sort of feeling the same thing I felt when I saw Pereira get KO'd, probably, because I was really convinced Pereira was going to win that one. The worst moments for me as an MMA fan were Pereira getting KO'd and Charles getting submitted. Not even Volk. Like, I expected Volk to get KO'd against Makhachev. There wasn't like a long buildup to that fight. So because I expected it and there was like hardly any buildup, it didn't really surprise me that much. And I expected him to get KO'd by Ilya. I was saying he was going to get knocked out by Ilya for a while. And so when it happened, I wasn't like completely down and out because I just totally expected it. But again, if you were picking Izzy, the way you probably could see him losing was by decision, right? Maybe getting finished on the ground. But like this, even for people that picked Adesanya, this type of way for Nassourdine to win, pretty unexpected, right? Because Adesanya throughout his career has had a pretty good chin, but it's the shots you don't see coming, right? It's those right hands you don't see coming when you put your hands out and you try to deflect a jab. You bring your hands down a little bit because of the takedowns that have been shot already, and boom, big one over the top. Nassourdine gets it done. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Until next time.